Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Monster Hunter World video, and in this video we are going to be taking on Tobi Kadachi, one of the brand new monsters in Monster Hunter World. Now it's worth calling out to begin with, the gameplay you're seeing in the background is from my first ever hunt against this monster. Having not fought it before, I didn't know its move patterns, I didn't know what to expect, so it's not going to be the cleanest gameplay in the world, but it will give you guys a chance to see some of the monster's moves, see it in action, and see some of the challenges that it presents. I will say this was definitely my first sort of wake-up monster. I'm actually going to die in just a moment. It basically inflicts Thunder Blight, it then stuns me, and it's just going to straight up finish me off, and this is about 45 seconds into the hunt. So basically, right at the beginning, it's just like, yeah, you need to watch what you're doing here. So that was like my initial kind of wake-up call, because up until this point, you know, I'd played through all the low-rank content, I'd done, you know, Jagras, Geratodos, Kuluyaku, Puke, to name but a few, and having played a lot of Monster Hunter myself, they didn't present me too many challenges, but Tobi Kadachi was the first time that I fought something, I died, and I was like, alright, I actually need to take a step back, evaluate the situation, learn the monster, and, you know, actually work out what I was doing here. So it was definitely really refreshing, it was really kind of cool to fight it. It's a monster that I really like. It kind of reminds me a bit of Zinogre. It's got this tail slam move where it flips back and slams it down. Of course, it's a thunder element monster as well, so there are kind of a lot of similarities, but it's also a really kind of unique monster in its own way too. So first up, top level, this is, Tobi Kadachi is a large fanged wyvern. It flies through the trees, so that first area you saw it in, it's actually quite dangerous because it jumps between the trees quite a lot, so it has a chance to, you know, get the drop on you. And also, whilst moving around the environment, it brushes up against trees and the ground, and it builds up static electricity within its fur, and of course that's how it dishes out the thunder damage. As mentioned earlier, it does basically inflict Thunder Blight, and if you guys haven't played Monster Hunter before, then if you have Thunder Blight on you, and you'll notice that at the top left-hand corner of the screen, above my health bar, I've got this little sort of like lightning icon that appears sometimes. If you have that, then it makes it easier for you to get stunned by monster attacks, and that's the sort of dizzy state where you're standing there, you can't do much, and you've got like stars going around your head. I actually like the animation for that one because they changed it a little bit, so when you get to the end of the stun animation, you basically sort of slap your head to sort of wake yourself up. But that can be pretty dangerous because, of course, if it inflicts that and it then stuns you, and then you can't really move, and it then goes and does like a tail slam, then you're probably gonna get hurt a fair bit. You know, my defense wasn't too great in this one, so it was pretty dangerous. I should have definitely kind of spec'd up and got some more gear before fighting this, but I like a challenge. So as for kind of what you're seeing right now, of course you get to see that, you know, Tobi taking on Jagras. For monsters that actually show up in the area, this happened quite a bit. Like, I was actually fighting Puke at one point, and both Jagras and Anjanath showed up, so you do get a lot of these sort of monster interactions. Some of the fights, you know, when Anjanath is in the mix, some of those fights are a little bit more definitive. Like, Anjanath will just grab Jagras and just slam it on the ground, whereas Tobi Kadachi and Jagras, they're like similar sizes and whatnot, so you don't necessarily see the fight being quite so clean cut, but they do still take each other on. So in this instance, I am taking a bit of risk here. You should normally, if you want to try and take advantage of the rock in the ancient forest, you should probably try and pin the monster in place, because if you don't use it, that's a fair bit of damage that you just wasted. So in that instance, I messed it up. We'll revisit that later on to show you guys an actual example of it working out. But we're back up here in the sort of main area where you typically fight this monster the first time you'll encounter it. These mushroom trees, you want to pay attention for them. Anytime you sort of see the mushrooms on the wall like that, they basically indicate like a tree that you can run up. Now, some weapons have very specific moves that you can do off the back of that. The bow being one of them. It's got this really cool spread shot. You basically jump up and fire out. It's super flashy, but it's also, you know, kind of handy because you can then use that to mount. But you're going to see here, in this instance, that Tobi's definitely kind of like jumping between the trees, using the sort of aerial attacks to its advantage. I'm going to get kind of messed up here a little bit. We're going to recover from it, but this is definitely sort of, you know, showing that it kind of doesn't have any chill. It's a pretty kind of fast stacking monster, so if you don't necessarily know what you're doing, or you're kind of in these tight situations, like I fought it in another instance in like a tight corridor, definitely don't do that. I mean, that's generally Monster Hunter 101, you don't want to fight anything in a tight corridor, but this one can be a little bit of a pain. So, gonna run away here, of course, slide down the slope here, and then we're gonna get to a point where I'm gonna try and dish out some actual like decent damage on it, and you actually get to sort of see a stun on the monster. So I'll give you guys a chance to watch a little bit of the gameplay, and then we'll pick up and talk a little bit about the what's happening next. So there you have it. That's a little kind of KO. You can actually see it's obviously not quite as pronounced as in previous Monster Hunter games because it was a little bit more kind of cartoony, but you can see the sort of stars going around the Tobi Kadachi's head. So that was KO, and actually got a little cheeky dunk there. He went to jump away, got the hit on him, knocked him back down to the ground. So this was a chance for me to do some, fairly decent damage to him. On the topic of the tail, I noticed that you seem to be able to like break the tail. I don't know yet if you can cut the tail off because I didn't have a chance to do that. I did during one of my hunts just kind of break it. You can see it a little bit wounded there. So as for whether it can be cut, it's something I'll have to work out a little bit later. Now, something I also do want to kind of talk about. You'll notice there I made a potion. The notion of kind of like moving around and drinking potions is actually really kind of interesting using it in like actual gameplay, because when people first heard about the fact that you don't have the flex anymore, they were like, is this going to make it easy? I will say definitely not, because you still don't move a great deal. It's not like you're going to be sprinting drinking a potion. You are still kind of vulnerable, so you kind of, so you don't necessarily get to, it doesn't make things easier, so to speak. But what I will say is that you have to be careful when you do it, because if you're drinking a potion and you're moving and you roll, it will just straight up cancel whatever you're doing. You'll see that your health bar doesn't just go from like 0 to 1 or 0 to 100. It'll just go like, it'll gradually, as you're drinking throughout the animation, you are gradually healing. So if you roll mid animation, you've basically lost half a potion. If you're using a mega potion and you roll out halfway through, you've wasted half a mega potion. So it's actually going to sort of balance out in a rather interesting way, because while yes, you do have a little bit of mobility and you don't necessarily stand in the same place and flex, you also, the way you kind of consume potions is definitely a little bit different. So, that was something I definitely need to kind of get used to sort of like learning, because it was, it kind of messed me up a few times. There were definitely a few times where I was relying on my Mega Potion giving me a lot more health than it did, and then because I just rolled out, I actually wasted it. But anyway, moving back from there, of course, you just saw that I rounded out the very first hunt against Tobi Kadachi, and the only way that I know I'm a Charge Blade user, if it goes to sleep, I'm going to do an Ultra on it. But we're now back in a second hunt. This was a little bit later. I'm now wearing full Gelatalos gear with a Gelatalos Charge Blade, so I'm now away from Impact. I'm into the Elemental Charge Blade. You'll see at the beginning of that, I obviously ran up the tree, so I had a chance to jump and mount it from there. But what's kind of interesting, I want to kind of talk about what actually happens next. So, if ever you make a monster flinch, they have a chance to drop these items that you can put into your slinger. You'll typically see them on the floor. You won't see it quite so clearly in this instance, but you'll see it again a little bit later. But they're these little like red items that drop on the floor, and basically if you pick them up, you put them into your slinger, and they are items that you can fire at the monster, but they're especially effective. Like if you just grab something like a red pit or just like a stone and fire at the monster, sure, it does like 1 damage, it's not going to do a great deal. But if you make the monster flinch and it drops the kind of monster specific item, like the red item, it's like a little red icon on the floor, and you then fire it, it's basically an item that will normally make the monster flinch, so it can be pretty useful. There's only ever like 2 of them, so you're not going to have like 20 items that can suddenly make it flinch easily, but it is something you want to kind of look out for, because you can really take advantage of it. So in this instance, in fact, you might be able to see it just below its legs. There's this little kind of red glow on the floor, so doing some like nice damage to it right there. But I'm going to, in a minute, it's going to kind of jump up the tree, and what we're going to try and do is use that to basically knock it down from the tree. There you go, you can see it was about to jump off, about to try and sort of like, use the tree to its advantage and like jump down on me, and instead I managed to make it flinch and go down there. Shame I missed the drop, but that is still pretty useful. You guys might have actually seen that, like I did in my 10 features video. There was some gameplay of me running away from Anjanath and firing something at my slinger, and it made it flinch a couple of times back to back. That is one of those items. So definitely try and take advantage of those. We're obviously back now in the middle of the jungle. This time I'm going to successfully use this rock. I still was playing a little bit risky. I would honestly recommend, if you're going to try and take advantage of these, because they are good damage potential, to try and like lock the monster in place with a trap. But in this instance, I got a little bit lucky. So you can actually see there, much clearer, that red glowing thing in the ground. That is the monster move, or kind of the monster item I spoke about. So definitely keep an eye out for those, because if you can use them, put them in your slinger, they are going to kind of make your life a little bit easier. So we're going to use that to finish off the hunt, but that is pretty much it. That was a kind of a look at fighting Tobi Kadachi. There's probably like a few more things I want to kind of go over, so I'll probably, speak about that in a subsequent video, but for the time being, that was a look at the monster in action. Definitely sort of the first challenge, or the first kind of monster that I personally found challenging when playing through low rank. Bear in mind, the one thing about Monster Hunter is that everybody finds different monsters difficult. So I think back to, say, for Ultimate, like I used to farm Rajang for the gear and I didn't really find it too difficult, but I didn't like fighting Chameleos. But everyone else will have their own like wall, so to speak. So, what one person finds difficult might not be for someone else. But the point is, it was a really cool fight. It was definitely my first kind of wake up period where I actually had to like stop and think and it's something that I'm, you know, super excited to like fight at a higher level as well. Bear in mind, like all this stuff right now is low rank, so there's obviously more stuff for me to uncover, but for the time being, that is pretty much it. That was a hunt against Tobi Kadachi. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below if you have any questions. Also make sure you keep it locked because I've got plenty more Monster Hunter World videos coming your way. In fact, I've got videos ready for you guys to watch over the weekend. So there's more stuff coming your way very, very soon. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.